Okay, so this paper is May-June 2020, November 2020 paper 2 variant 2. This says the cash price of a car is 30,000. Marta pays in installments for this car. Marta pays a deposit of 15% of the cash price, so she's paid 15% of 13,000 plus 24 equal monthly installments of 500. Calculate the total amount Marta pays for the car. So I'm going to calculate this. 15% of 13,000 is 15 over 100 multiplied by 13,000 plus 24 times 500. This means 18,950. That's an easy question. The price of a car is reduced by 12% in a sale. The sale price of the phone is 286. Calculate the price of the phone before the sale. So we've done the concept of the multiplier. So original multiplied by multiplier gives you the final value. I have the final value 286. Now, since the reduction is 12%, the multiplier will be 88%. Let's call the original as x. So this becomes 286 divided by 0.88. This means 325. Okay, this says the exchange rate between dollars and pounds is this. The exchange rate between euros and pounds is that. Calculate the exchange rate between dollars and euros, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, dollars and euros. So I need to see that this is the dollars to pounds, and this is pounds to euros. Okay. Now the easy way of doing this is basically to say that I'm going to do this cross multiplication. I'm going to say that $1 in pounds is 1 into 0.87 and 0.71. Now between dollars and pounds, giving your answer. So I need $1 here. So what happens is if I want to have $1 here, I'm going to say that this becomes 0.71 over 0.87. 0.71 gives me 0.817. What I've basically done is I knew that I wanted to give dollar as 1. So what I did was I tried to make the pound equal to 1 as well, and that's what the calculation is. Then it says Samuel invests 1,500 into an account paying 1.9% per year compound interest. Nina invests 1,500 into an account paying 1.9% per year simple interest. They each leave the money in their account for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, how much money does Samuel have in this account than Nina has in hers? So for compound interest, it's this formula, and this gives me the amount at end. That is for Samuel. This is for Nina. For Nina, the formula is for interest or So she earns an interest of 142.5. The amount at end is 1642.5. I've added 1500 plus 42.5. In this case, the amount at end is 16. So how much more money? 1648.02. 0.5. Okay, then this next question is about drawing a cumulative frequency graph. Cumulative frequency graphs are drawn against the upper class boundaries. I'm going to write the upper class boundaries here. As long as the boundaries are connected, you're fine. The CF will be 10, and I'm going to add 20, that gives me 30, then I'm going to add 34, that gives me 64, plus 12 gives me 76, and this gives me 80. I'm going to plot 40 and 10. Then I'm going to plot 60 and 30. And I'm going to plot 80 and 64. And then I'm going to plot 120 and 80. And for the lower class boundary, I'm going to go 20 and 0. So this curve looks something like this. Okay, that is as accurate as I could possibly make it. Then it says use a graph to estimate the median. So the median is 50% of n, which is half of n. Nth value, half of the 80th value, that gives me the 40th value. So I'm going to draw a dotted line here at 40. And I'm going to try to read this value that I have. It turns out to be 64. For the interquartile range, you need the lower quartile. That gives me 20th, and you need the upper quartile. So I'm going to read the 20th and the 60th values. 20th is 52. 60th is 76. $24. The interquartile range is upper quartile minus lower quartile. Then it says a group of 60 adults. 160 adults each completed the task. The table shows the number of errors made by each of those adults. Calculate the mean. So the formula for the mean is sum of fx over sum of f. 0 into 24 plus 1 into 30 plus 2 into 50 plus 3 into 32 plus 4 into 16 plus 5 into 8 divided by 160. So quickly adding those up, 30 plus 100 plus 96 plus 64 plus 40 divided by 160. That gives me 2.0625. is 35/16. One of the adults is taken selected at random. Find the probability that this adult made more than 3 errors. So more than 3 means 4 or 5 errors. That is 24 out of 160. Both adults find the probability that they each made one error. So exactly one error is 30. So the probability for the first adult will be 30/160, and then for the next one it's going to be 29/159. So 30/160 multiplied by 29/159. That gives me 29/848. And there's a graph to complete. It says the values of y are given and this value is missing. So let's complete the table. Seven over 4 plus 2/7. Connect to 2 decimal places where appropriate to 2.04. Let's make a sketch quickly. X is 0.5, y is 4.13. How about here? 1 and 2.25. $1.5 and 1.71. Two and 1.5. 2.0. It's 4, 3, and 1.42. Four and 1.5. It's going up again. 5 and 1.65. 6 and 1.83. 7 and 2.04. This curve looks something like this. It's a tough curve to draw. So I'm drawing it on the screen. Okay, this is really tough for me because on the screen it's very difficult to draw curves. Okay. Then it says by drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient of this when x equals to 1. So on x equals to 1, I'm going to try to draw a tangent. That is what my tangent looks like. I can pick up any 2 points. One of the points will be definitely 1, 2.25, and I can pick up any other point and then find the gradient. Let me look for a convenient point. I think this one is convenient. It's 1.5, 3.2. I can take this point and then calculate the gradient. So 2.25 minus 3.2 over 1 minus 0.5. So it's 0.5. We're at minus 1.9. On the grid, draw the graph of 2y equals to plus 6 equals to x. You can take any 2 values of x that you want and you can draw this graph. I either choose the x and y intercepts which might be a little challenging, but let's just keep x as 0 and see what the y-intercept is. So y is 3, so I know that this line passes through 3, and I can take another value of x and say let's stick 2, so it'll be easier. So when x is 2, y is also 2, so I have another point here. I'm going to sketch this line. Straight lines require only 2 points, so that's easy. Now the trick is to stretch this line throughout, because that's what they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you to find the intercepts at some point. Let's see what happens. I had done the coordinates of the point of intersection. So points of intersection are 3.1, I think. And if I were to write this is about 0.9. 0.9 and 3.1. And it says these x coordinates are the solutions of the equation. So I know that whenever I am finding intersection points, I am essentially solving simultaneously. What two things am I solving simultaneously? I am solving the equation of the curve and the line simultaneously. So I'll be replacing y with the entire expression, and then I'll try to solve the equation and come up with this. So this becomes 2x over 4 plus 4 over x plus x equals to 6. Okay, taking a common denominator gives me 2x as a common denominator. I multiply this with x to get x squared, multiply this with 2 to get 8, and I multiply this with 2x to get 2x squared equals to 6. So I get 3x squared plus 8, and I first multiply to get 12x. 3x squared minus 12x plus 8 equals to 0. So then by comparison, 3 is equals to 3. A should equal minus 12, and B should equal 8. Okay, that was question number 3. Moving on to question number 4. This is ventilation. It says the diagram shows a solid formed by joining a cylinder to a hemisphere. The diameter of cylinder is 9. I'm more interested in the radius, so 4.5, and its height is 16. The volume of the hemisphere is equal to the volume of the cylinder. So that's interesting. Show that the radius of the hemisphere is this. So volume of cylinder, volume of hemisphere. I get pi r square h 2 over 3 pi r cube, because it's a hemisphere. So 3.142, the radius is 4.5, the height is 16. 3.142, I don't have the radius, so let's just call that r only. It gets cancelled, and then r is basically cube root of 4.5 square into 16 into 3 over 2. I'm going to put the entire thing on a calculator. 4.5 squared into 16 into 3 over 2. That gives me 7.86. It sounds like a reasonable number. But in fact, I have to prove, so that's fine. Okay. 7.86. Let's just stick a little more number of decimal places to show you that how the answer matters when we are rounding off too early. And it says calculate the total surface area of the solid. Okay. What I need to understand is that there are numerous shapes that I need to calculate. I need to calculate the top of this. I need to calculate the curved surface area. I need to calculate the curved surface area here as well. And then there is this shaded area that I'm going to calculate separately. Okay. So I'm going to write down a list of things here. This is curved surface area of cylinder. The formula for that is 2 pi RH. Curved surface area of sphere, which is 4 pi r square होता है, 4 pi r square divided by 2 हो जाएगा because hemisphere है. Top of cylinder is pi r square, and shaded area, the one that I shaded above, as you can see, is basically a larger circle minus a smaller circle. So the radius of the cylinder is 4.5, the height is 16. The radius of the sphere is 7.8622. Top of the cylinder is pi r squared. And this is 3.142 into r squared, 7.8622 minus 3.142 into. Okay, so lots of calculations there. Plus 347.866 square plus square plus minus gives me 840.888, which is 841. Okay, then it says a different solid in the shape of a cuboid. The cuboid measures 8 by 4 by 6. These measurements are given correct to the nearest. Calculate the lower bound of the volume of the cuboid. So in each of these cases, then I need to calculate the lower bound. So if it's to the nearest centimeter, that means half of 1, 7.5, 3.5, and 5.5. That gives me what? 16.5. No, I need to calculate the volume. So 7.5, 3.5, and 5.5. Length into width into height. I calculated all the lower bounds. 144.3. 144. Correct to 3 significant figures. This is question number 5. This looks like question on algebra. Geeta has n times. Ravi has twice as many n times as Geeta, 2n. Sanjay has 7 fewer times than Ravi. So Sanjay has 2n minus 7. Altogether, the two children have 108. Form an equation next. So n plus 2n plus 2n minus 7 equals to 108. 5n equals to 115. N equals to 115 divided by 5, that gives me 23. So Sanjay is 2 times 23 minus 7. 39. Again, this is a question on algebra. First, I change the division into a multiplication. T square cancels with T square. 3 cancels with 6. So I get 2v power 5 over 5. Now, in order to simplify this, I have to factorize both the numerator and the denominator. I get x minus 4 over x plus 4. And then breaking the middle term in the denominator, that's 24. I get 2 factors that are 12 and 2. 12x minus 2x for the denominator. Factoring out 3x gives me x plus 4 minus 2x plus 4. So I get x minus 4 over x plus 4. That gives me 3x minus 2 and x plus 4. So x plus 4 cancels out with x plus 4. I'm left with x minus 4. X minus 2. Okay. Question number 6. Question number 6 is a question on functions. That's pretty simple. Gives me 28. So x is less than 5 over 4. I think that is pretty simple. For the inverse, I replace f of x with y. I try to then make x the subject. Y over 4 equals 2 minus x. X comes here and y over 4 goes there. So this becomes f inverse of x is equals to 2 minus x over 4. Then this is sort of a question on composite functions, f of p. Now, so I simply have to replace x with p. But in the case of g of x, I have to replace x with 2p plus 1. So 7 minus 3 to 2p plus 1 divided by 5. This is 8 minus 4p. Okay. So 8 minus 7. And 4p goes there. So 4p minus 6p plus 0.5. Notice that this minus sign is with the entire fraction. I take a common denominator here. 20p minus 6p minus 3. I get 5. 14p minus 3. Four over 7. I hope I've not made an error somewhere. Let me just quickly check. I think that's fine. P is 4 over 7. Question number 7 is about polygons. This is an n-sided regular polygon with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, D, C, F equals to E, F, C equals to 24. Find the value of n. So I'm trying to figure out the number of sides. For the number of sides, I must have one of these angles. Now this is easy to calculate. I know that both of these angles will be equal. So I say quadrilateral forming. And I say that this is equals to 360. And then I can solve 360 minus 24 minus 24 gives me 312, so 2x equals to 312, x equals to divided by 2. 156. 156. Okay, I've applied the formula. At 15. And it says find HFG. So HFG, this one. So I know this is going to create an isosceles triangle. Let's call that Y. I'm going to say that 156 plus y equals to 180. So 2y equals to 24, y should equal to 12. Because it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, and then this question is about, that was about congruence and similarity. I'm just seeing the rest of the questions. Okay, it should be manageable. PQRS is a parallelogram. DU and SQ intersect at X, and DU is parallel to QR. So this is parallel to that, and this is parallel to that. TQ and PT are in the ratio 1:2, and UR and SU are also in the ratio 1:2. Show that triangle PQS is similar to triangle TQX. PQX, PQS, the larger triangle, similar to TQX. This one. Okay, so these are then corresponding angles. I can say that PSQ is equals to TXQ corresponding. Angles. And these are also corresponding angles. So SPT and angle Q is common. So whenever you are asked to prove similarity, you have to make sure that you prove the angles. It has nothing to do with the sides. It has to do with the angles. If all the angles are the same, then we see that the triangles are similar. Find the ratio of SX to SQ. This one to the entire thing. Okay. So remember that whenever you're comparing, you compare triangles to triangles. So if this was the first triangle and this was the entire triangle, so the triangles are actually in the ratio 1:3. The smaller triangle to the larger triangle is 1:3. If I'm asking you about SX, then this must be 2 and the entire thing must be 3. So it is in the ratio 2:3. Find the ratio of a triangle TQX to area of parallelogram PQRX. So TQX, this one, to the entire parallelogram. Now about the parallelogram, what you must understand is that it divides into two triangles. So if I somehow find the ratio of this to this triangle, then I can actually compute the area for the parallelogram as well. Now, if the sides are in the ratio 1:3, then the areas must be in the ratio 1 square to 3 square, which is 1:9. That means one of the triangles is 9. The parallelogram should be what? The parallelogram should be 18. The area of triangle TQX will be 1. Why? Because it's the smaller triangle. So this 18 times of the smaller triangle makes the entire parallelogram. And this question is on vectors. H is the point that, so OH is that. Calculate the magnitude of HJ. So 100 plus 36 gives me 11.7. It says HK equals to 3HJ. So breaking down vectors is something that comes naturally to us. So OK minus OH 3 times HJ is simple. OH is given to you. So OK is 23 and minus 14. Okay. Then question B on vectors. It says AD is parallel to OE, so this is Q as well, and OA to AB is in the ratio 1:3. So 3P. This should also be 3P then. This should also be P. This should also be Q, since it's a parallelogram. And BX to XC is in the ratio 3:2. So 3:2. So 3/5Q and 3/5Q and 2/5Q. Express OC as simply as possible. To go from O to C, I travel from O to B, which is 4P, and then Q. AX from A to X. So AB, which is 3P, and then BX, which is 3/5 of Q. That's EX. That means EC plus CX. EC is 4P. And then it's minus 2/5 Q. Okay, that was simple. This question is then about trigonometry. I'm asking you to find the angle ABC in the way that I'm given this information. The sine rule should apply because SAS या SSS नहीं है. That is when you apply the cosine rule. So let's call that X. I'm going to say that sine X over 6.4 should equal sine 79 over that gives me sine X equals to 0.66. That gives me 41.399, which gives me 41.4. Calculate the area of triangle ABC. If I want to calculate the area of triangle ABC, I should have this angle. Let's call that Y. That's simple because I have both other angles. I'm going to subtract and say that $59.6. I'm going to apply half A B sine of C. $26.2. Okay, then this goes into 3D. That was the ground. Now it's gone up to 3D. And it says calculate BDC. Right on top. So if I see this triangle that I can see BDC, it's showing me 3 sides. I need to find an angle, so I need to apply the cosine rule. I will call this D, and say that cos D should equal 9.8 squared plus 8.2 squared minus 9.5 squared over 2 into 9.8 into 8.2. That's the cosine rule when you want to find an angle. Four five four four. 62.97. This is about 63.0. And says calculate the angle of elevation of D from C. I'm looking at D, standing at C. Whatever the ground value then is, it's dropping at A. So I'll draw A here. I know that this is 6.4. AC is 6.4. From C to D is 8.2. So this is always a right triangle. Remember that angle of elevation and depression can be calculated using right triangles only. So sine theta, no, let's do cos theta, 6.4 over 8.2. Maybe 8.7. And this is the last question of the exam. It says a mirror drives to work. A mirror takes X minutes to drive the first 30 kilometers. Average speed in kilometers per hour. So I know that I don't need minutes. Let's change that to hours. So X over 60 ho gaya. For the first 30 kilometers of the journey is 1800 over 6. So speed equals to distance over time. So 30 over X divided by 60. That means 30 multiplied by 60 over X. That's 1800 over X. Then says the mean is average speed for the final 10 kilometers. There's another distance and there's another speed. The time is missing. Our average speed for the first 30 kilometers of the journey is 8 kilometers slower than the average speed for the final 10 kilometers. So average speed return minus average speed going is equals to 8. I was slower in going than I am in returning. So returning is higher. So return minus going is this. So I have 600 over X minus 25 minus 1800 over X should equal 8. That is the equation that I need to prove. We're going to X into X minus 25, 600X minus 1800 X minus 25. 600X $45,000. Cross multiplying gives me 8x squared minus 200x. So 0, 8x squared minus 200x minus 600x plus 1800x minus 45,000. X factoring out an 8 gives me x squared plus 125x minus 160. Proved. Then it says solve. So minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac so minus 125 plus 38125 divided by 2 and minus 125 minus it's 35.128, which is 35.1 and minus 160.128. It's 160, 3 significant figures. It takes a mere 25 minutes less to drive the final 10 kilometers than it takes for the first 30 kilometers. Calculate average speed in kilometers for the whole journey. So average speed for the whole journey is total distance over total time. Total distance is 30 plus 10. Total time is, first I took x over 60 hours. In kilometers per hour, and 35.1 over 60. And then it says it takes 25 minutes less. So the returning time was 35.1 minus 25 divided by 60. I can just put this entire thing on a calculator and give you one final answer. Which is 53.097. 53.1. Okay, that's the end of the exam.